United won, West Ham won. Another bottled performance at home. 2 points dropped for Manchester United and Ruben Amorim's team at Old Trafford. Another very poor and lackluster performance at home. I'm trying not to curse and stuff in the beginning of the show because it will get down put. But I mean, we didn't do what we needed to do. We went out there. We were very flat. We were very slow yet again. He's made some changes today. They've backfired on him. They did not go the way they needed to go. I think taking off the low didn't make any sense at all for Dorgu. And a couple other things as well. So, I mean, we're going to get into the match and break it down even further. We'll get into the post sort of comments. And, therapy session for the Reds once again. For anybody that needs it, we're going to digest it. We're going to break it down. We'll analyze it a little bit more. And we'll have a discussion about, what should have been done, what was wrong. And, I guess what sort of goes from here. But before we do that, please make sure you smash the like button. Get that done, people. It is important to the channel. And also subscribe if you're new. We are trying to get 3,500 subscribers. We're at 3,245. The counter has not updated. But just initially, off the top of my head, I mean, listen, we came with Everton levels yet again. We started so slow. To me, the most disgusting part or the worst part about this whole thing was that obviously the ending. We got a little bit lucky or fortunate with the goal, but we took it well when it presented itself, and we did what we always do, and we can't seem to actually take a step forward in that. We score a goal, we take our foot off the gas. We're playing West Ham. They're shit. They're probably going to get relegated. And instead of going to find the second and pushing on and getting more confidence, we decided to be a bunch of turtles and hide in our shell and show no sort of urgency. Just a lack of desire to go and get the second goal, the lack of desire to go push on and, secure the game and not leave yourself open to some stupid, set piece goal that they didn't score for 80 minutes in the match. And then they're going to get one at the end because we can't keep clean sheets. We know we can't keep clean sheets. We haven't been able to keep clean sheets the whole entire season. So one goal was never going to be good enough. The players didn't seem to understand that. Ruben didn't really seem to understand that. I think Ruben made changes today. He got them wrong, and I think he was trying to hold on to a 1-0 lead in a certain aspect. And I don't know why you would necessarily do such a thing when it's quite clear and obvious that we always needed a second goal, and we were struggling to even get the first one. We were a bit fortunate with that. Ryan says we are shite, 1-0 up, and start defending, and that's sort of the whole basis of everything. I mean, listen, it's one thing to make sure that you don't concede the goal. So you want to do a defensive job, you want to be a bit tighter in defense, but when you get the ball, you don't do sort of what you're doing defensively, offensively. It's like, our offense becomes defense. There's no split into it. I don't really understand why they have sort of this mentality in terms of that they tend to do this all the time. We've seen this team. And to me, I'm not absolving Ruben of anything, but I'm just saying that it's happened under Ruben, and it's happened before Ruben as well. This Manchester United, our club, we tend to be low levels. The opposition scores on us. We then step up the levels and try to score a goal. We can't take the initiative to do it first. Then we also tend to do what we just did now, whereas the game is level. We managed to find a goal and score a goal. And instead of pushing on to go and score another goal and kill off the game and put us in a better position, we drop back, we take the levels off, and we slowed the game down, and then we end up conceding a goal. And we've done this like for so long, and I just don't really understand like what is the issue at this football club about that. I don't understand what's so hard. Irregardless of the manager, the manager should be getting this point across and they should be understanding it. But I don't really understand how, as a player, you don't get that concept. Because what I will say is, when I look at all these other players, like Ahmad was doing it too much. Bruno does it too much, where he wants to slow the game down. He wants to... I don't agree with slowing the game down. I think it's the wrong thing to do. I think it's the wrong decision to make on the pitch. And for me, the guy that hasn't played for fucking months and is the least fit and has the least match experience out of everybody, and I'm talking about Lisandro Martinez, was the only one who came on in about the 85th minute that would get the ball and actually go forward and put the ball forward, and actually had quickness about him and actually had some sort of awareness about him that we need to go get a fucking goal. And these guys spent more time, once we conceded the goal, passing the ball backwards and sideways than we spent all match. So we are just something that I can't wrap my head around, because it just doesn't make sense in any way. There's two aspects of, obviously, the manager aspect and then the players aspect. But from the players aspect, just, you're on the pitch. Where is the self-urgency? Where is the, to be alert and be like, the ball needs to go forward, we need to take more risks? They're playing scared, and they've been playing scared for a very long time. We've been doing this for a very long time. So I don't really get it from these guys. I don't. Ray says Ruben can't pick players. Well, maybe that's a fair assessment, because I said it before we ended the live for the watch along, and it seems like when he makes changes, the changes affect us negatively. He doesn't make changes, then we don't get the impact that we need, and he gets criticized. He pretty much gets criticized from all around. So he seems to be getting these decisions wrong more often than he gets them right, which obviously, he can't be doing as a manager, because these are the things of how you influence the game. And while the players are on the pitch and they're the ones making the decisions with the balls in their feet, he is the guy that ultimately can have, some sort of impact on the pitch by making changes and subbing players in. And for me, I don't understand why he took Diego Dalot off. I don't get it. I said it at the time. It didn't really make sense. I was a bit surprised, and I was a bit worried about it, because it didn't seem like that was a good change to make. Dalot scored the goal. I thought Dalot was doing good defensively. He was struggling a bit against Aaron Wan-Bissaka going forward, and I think that's probably why he did it. But, Dorgu hasn't been playing good, and Dorgu didn't really do anything to help us. And actually, I think it hurt us, because defensively, I think Dalot is better than Dorgu. And once Dorgu came on, obviously, on that side, Bowen started ripping us apart, where he wasn't really doing that when Dalot was on the pitch. So, he got that totally wrong. Putting in Ugarte in the midfield and pushing up Bruno, I could see what he was going for, but did it help us in terms of, did we create more? Did we change anything that we were doing? I think maybe you could argue we might have even dropped a level after that, with Bruno going forward. Kobe Mainu not going on. And, for me, in sort of that sense, I don't think Ugarte should have came on. Because we didn't need somebody to do defensive duties like Manuel Ugarte does. What we needed was sort of an extra midfielder. And if you're not going to put Mainu, in one of the 10s and keep Bruno there, and you're going to push Bruno into one of the 10s, well, then you would put Mainu in there, because We don't need somebody that's defensive. We already had Cass on the pitch. And I think he got that wrong because he was clearly trying to be safe about it. In my opinion, that to me is a safe move to do. In the fact that because Ugarte is a more defensive player, you don't want to give up the goal, and you don't want to lose the match. So instead of putting Mainu on, you put on Ugarte because he's a defensive player and he's going to make tackles over Mainu. But what we needed was somebody like Mainu who could probably help us with the attacking output. So Axis here, Ray is here. Say no more, we are shit. The fish stink from the head. Yeah, you said that before, and yeah, I know. So again, if the head stinks from the top, then let's just sack the manager and we'll bury our heads in the sand like we usually do, and we'll forget everything, and then we'll pretend when the next guy comes in that everything will be fixed. Yeah, so it's fine. Lauren says it's exhausting. I think they feel possession play will hold a lead, underestimating the opposition. Well, I've talked about this many times when we were live. Like, I don't think the players don't actually understand the concept of how to do balance between possession and attacking. They seem very green or red. There's no, like, sort of in between. They don't know how to balance it. If they do possession and they hold possession, they're very slow to go forward. They don't know actually how to, like, transition properly. When we do counterattack and it's very like just go, and we're not worried about possession, we tend to do better attacking wise. So they clearly don't understand how to balance this. So I don't know, is it a personnel issue that we just don't have the players? They don't have the IQ, the majority of them, and we're not going to be able to play that way. Is it a coaching thing? Is it both? I don't know. I'm sort of lost in what direction you go here for, because I just don't really understand this team at all anymore. I don't really get it. In terms of the result, I mean, it's not really that much of a surprise in terms of we've seen this before from the team. Like, we go away to Crystal Palace, we're nervous about the game, and that we're probably not going to get a result. We end up getting a 2-1 result. We go to West Ham. We go to play West Ham at home at Old Trafford, and it's like Everton 2.0. The levels drop. We're not good enough. We're shit, and and we drop points, and we missed another opportunity. We've had 4 opportunities probably this season to actually capitalize on what's going on in the league, get 3 points, and, cement our position in the league table a lot better. We've missed 4 opportunities so far. Off the top of my head, what I can think, we've missed 4 opportunities so far. So this team is still bottlers. They're still inconsistent. They're not good enough. And, I won't necessarily argue with people. If you want to say sack the manager. But I will just say, I hope when you sack the manager, like, all the things won't be fixed and things won't be great. So if you want to be in the camp of sacking the manager, that's fine. Just don't pretend like it's going to fix shit, because whatever manager comes in, he's still going to have to use the shit that we have. And they're not going to be miracle workers with the shit that we have. And he's still going to face a lot of the same problems. Like how I'm watching Ruben face a lot of the same problems that Ten Hag faced with a lot of the same problems. And I sort of made that mistake with Ten Hag, because I was like, Ten Hag is here for almost 3 years, and I was like, he should be probably further along, and I didn't feel like he was further along enough. And I see a lot of the problems that he was dealing with is in this team, and we've changed some players around. So I'm not going to make the same mistake twice. If you sack Ruben, I'm fully expecting a lot of these problems to still be here. There's a lot of comments coming in, so I'm going to try and hit them all. But how long are we going to accept this? Well, you could choose to accept it or not accept it, whatever you want. I mean, I know where you stand, Axe. You don't speak for everybody. You speak for yourself. I don't speak for everybody. I speak for myself. I don't tell people how to really feel or whatever. I give my opinion. But you can do whatever you want. Everybody's always free to do whatever they want. I don't really care. At this point. But ultimately, it's not really about us. It's about Ineos and when they decide how long they want to keep this going. So, Johnny says, I'm not blaming the players today, though Amorim's decisions cost us, in my opinion. When you're 1-0 up at home with 15 minutes to go, you don't bring on Ugarte. Well, I mean, listen, obviously he has to take blame for the decisions he's made, and they didn't work out, and they've backfired on him because I think those decisions were wrong. And clearly, we didn't get the win, and we drew, and we dropped 2 points at home. But usually how I stand, I mean, I'll blame the manager. And I'll blame the players as well. I don't think just because Ruben got shit wrong and he made bad calls and made bad things, I don't think that absolves the players from playing like shit on the field. I don't think it does at all. It should never. I don't think so. No, I think Ruben probably had a bigger hand today than I usually think he does in terms of what goes on, because I think we were in a decent position. I think taking Delo off fucked us. I think Ugarte going on wasn't the right call, and it hurt us. And we clearly dipped, and we were clearly more like inconsistent, and we were clearly like more shaky after the substitutions. So the substitutions didn't help us. They bring us backwards, and he made the substitutions, so it's on him in that aspect. But before a lot of the substitutions, I mean, the levels the players were at, how they were playing, and even, these other players, like on the pitch, like they still didn't. Again, where is the urgency from the players? Like they have to have self-awareness on the pitch and stuff like that. The 5 at the back philosophy doesn't really help us either. Also, I don't think Amorim wants possession. If he wanted possession, he would have brought on Manu rather than Ugarte. He wants possession in the opposition's half, Johnny, I think. That's how I see it. And it's not really possession, but it is to a certain extent. Like, at some point, you have to move the ball forward and you have to do more. But when I'm watching the match, I'm seeing Bruno telling, Lemons, like, West Ham are pushing up. We're leading the game at this point. It's 1-0. Lemons gets the ball, and we have a good chance to counterattack them. They actually pushed up. They were pushing up. They were high up the pitch. And Bruno is telling Lemons to slow it down. Why? The ball should be coming out fast, and we should be going at them quick. Not slow it down, because we were up 1-0, and we needed the second goal. So, Ray says, Ruben out, Bruno out. I don't know which one is first. Well, I mean, the bigger chance would probably be Ruben, because you're not going to get Bruno out in the middle of the season. It's not going to happen. So, I don't really know. But X says, we have Glazers and utterly incompetent management of Ineos who've been trashed last season by hiring Amorim, who is obviously unsuitable for his job. The management is trash. The starting 11 is trash. Well, I put up a post during the live, and everybody that voted in it said that it was a good lineup. So, we didn't have one person vote against the lineup. So before this result and before this performance, before the match started, everybody that was in there and everybody that voted on it said that it was a good lineup. So, he doesn't put on Kobe because they hate each other. That's the level of management here. Again, I don't think they hate each other. I mean, I don't know what's gone on behind the scenes, but I'm telling you now, if he hated him, he wouldn't be on the bench. He wouldn't keep him there. He would kick him out like he kicked out Rashford and like he kicked out Garnacho. Can't blame Amorim for everything because he seems the senior players, Bruno, Casemiro, etc. won't step up. However, as I said, Manu should have come on to freshen. Well, listen, he's never going to get everything right, and tonight he got a lot of things wrong. I don't see a problem with that. I never agree with blaming one side completely over the other. But sometimes it's more lopsided, but in general, There's always blame to go around. Hack says I need to wake up in less than 6 hours, bro. Well, yeah, I mean, for you guys, it is. I mean, listen, it's a fair thing to say he doesn't rate Mano. I don't think that means he hates him. Listen, hate is kind of a strong word. That means that like he has some personal vendetta against him. I don't think he rates him. And it's quite clear that he doesn't rate him. Is that a permanent thing? I don't actually necessarily believe at this moment in time. I mean, we'll find out because if he stays here or he gets sold or whatever it is. But I feel like there was a couple opportunities to get him out of the club. They didn't do it. We've seen examples of players that Ruben doesn't want at this football club, and they have been removed and kicked out. So, you know, this narrative is building. I think, if anything, and I don't know if this makes it worse, probably, and maybe it doesn't make it better. But I think he got the whole call wrong in terms of he didn't want to like concede a goal, and so he put Ugarte in the midfield and pushed Bruno up, and he didn't put in Mano because he doesn't rate Mano as sort of like a defender. But that kind of flies in the face of that aspect. I'm just trying to make sense of why you would do such a thing, but it kind of flies in the face of that because he has Bruno playing there with Kaz. So why can't you have Mano playing there? And why did you feel the need to put on Ugarte to sort of kind of like it almost seemed like he was trying to protect the lead while also trying to like change the attack in that he put Bruno up there to get more of an attacking output, but then he put in Ugarte instead of Mano so that he could be a bit more defensive or the midfield could be a bit more strong and maybe get like a stronger foothold in it. So if that's the case, I mean, I think he clearly obviously got that call totally wrong. Like, Johnny says if you're JJ Gabriel and you're at home watching Amorim's treatment of Mano, then you're going to be on the phone to Barca real quick. I don't think it works like that. I don't think it works like that, Johnny, because I'll tell you why. Every player has an ego, and JJ Gabriel might be sitting at home watching that, and maybe there might be a bit of a concern, but I can guarantee you JJ Gabriel is probably like, that won't happen to me because JJ Gabriel thinks he's a very good player and that he is probably going to be better than a lot of these players, and JJ Gabriel probably believes in himself that he will get ahead of all these people. Players have egos. It's why managers still come to our football club. It's why players still come to us even though we've been shit. They don't view it as us as fans. We don't look at it. They live in a bubble. They have egos. So that's why you see managers take jobs where other managers have failed a lot. It's because they look at it and go, well, that guy failed and he might be a good manager, but I'm better than him and I'll do a better job. So they will take the job. I think that's fairly common. So I don't even really buy into that whole JJ Gabriel kind of looking at that and looking at Manu's treatment, because I think JJ Gabriel will be like, it's a bit fucked up. Maybe he'll have an opinion on it. Maybe he doesn't even give a shit. And I'm sure he'll be focused on himself, and I'm sure he'll probably back himself to get into the team. So I don't really think that goes like that. I don't think everything will be fixed if Amorim leaves, because I think Ineos are just as bad. My issue is I think Amorim's making us worse. Well, if you think he's making us worse, fair play. I can't really argue to that semantic. My whole thing is that I totally disagree with people that believe that if you sack Ruben Amorim, everything will be hunky-dory, rosy-dozy, and that we're not going to have problems. And I'm just sort of giving a warning shot out there that, if Ruben was to be sacked, like, don't expect shit to be so good and so fixed, because I still think regardless of who we have the manager, and I've been really consistent with this, it's still going to take numerous amounts of years. And we're going to have to make numerous amounts of changes, and we're going to have to get numerous calls right after that, regardless. So, and I've always said, doesn't matter who the manager is. I truly believe it would take anybody anywhere from 3 to 4 seasons to get shit to a level where it's a consistently acceptable and moving. So we throw 5 points at home away against shit teams. Yeah, we did. And we're inconsistent and we've been shit. So we're pretty much just like everybody else in the league. Um we are. I mean, look at the table. We've stayed in 8. We're pretty much basically the same as everybody else. So we're not great. Um we're disappointing and we're highly inconsistent, but I mean, we're in 8th and we're on 22 points. Liverpool are fucking on 9th and they're on 22. Brighton are on 22. Sunderland are on 23. Palace are on 23. And Chelsea are on 24 and they're in 4th. Like, we could have been so much better. I think is just the bigger miss to say, because we're still here and everybody else is still like all over the place. I mean, Newcastle are in 12th and Tottenham are in 11th and they're, a few points behind us, 4 points behind us to be exact. And everybody is just all over the table and nobody is actually consistent. And I know we want to focus on our team, but what I'm saying is, like, we missed these opportunities. If we had those points, we would be probably, realistically, we should probably be in 2nd because we should be able to get those jobs done. But I think if you ask a couple of other teams or fans of other teams that are in and around us, they'd probably say the same for their team. So everybody just seems to be really sort of just inconsistent all over the place. And it's just, more missed opportunities for United because we could have actually taken the opportunity when no one seems to be doing it. The ones that do seem to be doing it right now, is Villa, because Villa were like way down and they were struggling, and they've built into some sort of consistency and they're pulling away. Because now they're 5 points ahead of us and City is 6. So, yeah, get rid of Bruno and Kaz, okay, but we can't do that right now. So, the starting lineup wasn't the problem. It's how we ended the game. Well, yeah, I mean, fair enough. And again, he got the calls wrong for sure, but I guess he deserves his pelters for today, and it's on him. A lot of it is on him. He made the wrong calls. But I think he's like, for me, I mean, he's always going to have a mistake in him because he's young and inexperienced. So it's just that I'm not surprised that that's happened because I sort of expect him to fuck up along the way, and he's fucked up multiple times. And I don't think all of a sudden he's going to start being Mr. Perfect. So, and this sort of happens to me, in my opinion. This sort of happens in football. Like, he's gonna get shit wrong. We're gonna have shit performances from the players. It's gonna be a shit day. It's probably happening too often, and it needs to happen way less often. And I don't know if he's going to be able to sort that aspect out, but I will say that he needs to sort that aspect out if he's going to continue on here. So, how can one not play both Bruno and Mano in the same team, bro? It's by the decision you make. What do you mean? You can do that, but you also can't do that. I don't know. I don't really understand the question. Like, if he chooses not to do it and he feels like he doesn't want to do that, then he's not going to do it. If somebody feels like they can do it, then they can. But again, there's still no proof that that would work. It could be just as bad, or it could be better. We don't know because he's not doing it. And unless he does it, we won't really get the answer to it. Although he kind of did it last season, and based off of last season, it wasn't that great. At certain times, he did it. So I don't know. I don't have the answers for this. Ruben is picking a team to protect himself, and he's making bad decisions. I don't think he's picking a team to protect himself. I don't, because I don't really think I think if Ruben was picking a team to protect himself, I think Ruben wouldn't be forcing shit that he's doing. I think Ruben's forcing shit and it's not working. So if he was to do that, I don't think he's picking a team to protect himself. I do think he's picking in his mind the best team possible, and I think he's going about it in the way that he feels is giving him the best chance, and he's clearly prioritized experience, and I think he's putting his eggs in experience. And I think probably Jason Wilcox is involved in that as well, because he's got to do the planning with Ruben, and he's involved in that as well. So I think they've come to some sort of an agreement and plan on that. I don't think it's protecting himself, because I actually don't think that he. I mean, he's shown quite before he doesn't. I don't think he actually fears in terms of losing his job. I think what he wants to win, but I don't think he's afraid to lose in terms of his job. Like, I don't think he's afraid to lose his job. If he was afraid to lose his job, he probably would have changed his formation. Like we've seen other managers in the past when they were playing one way and they start playing another way because they're worried about results in terms of job security. He's not doing that. So I don't think he's doing that to protect himself. I truly think, whether you think it's good or not, and you probably disagree with him, and that's probably where that comes from. But I just think that he is, in whatever he looks at, whatever he believes in his mind, whatever he believes in his sort of plan, and it quite differs from a lot of people. I think he, in his brain, he's picking the best possible team, and the best possible team is he's going with experience, and he's picking these guys. I don't think it's to protect himself. I think he truly believes that that is the best way forward for the team to get results and win, and grow and develop the team. So Red Devil Radar is here. Mbappe Boy X8M, new chatter, says, I knew this would happen. I said we wouldn't win 3 days ago. I knew this because I don't trust this team. Well, I mean, listen, can anybody blame you for not trusting this team? I don't think any of us can really trust this team. We've seen too many times how they do such things. We talked about it last time. Like we do what we did at Everton. We go to Crystal Palace. Everybody's like, and we still have this issue. And it's been an issue under Ruben, and it was an issue under Ten Hag, and it was an issue under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and it's probably an issue somewhere along the lines of Mourinho somewhere as well. Like Mbappe, like we just. When we're favorites, like when we say, yeah, we definitely should be winning this match and we should be getting 3 points. We're at home to West Ham. West Ham are shit, and anything less than a win is disastrous. And we go out and we play like dog shit. And then, like, for example, you go and play against like Crystal Palace, and it wasn't the prettiest, but we managed to get the job done. And nobody really expected us to beat Crystal Palace in the sense of like it could go really bad for us, and we seem to be underdogs in that match. And it just seems like the reoccurring theme here over the past like few years is that when there's a sense of like we are favorites to go win this match, we lose the match, or we don't get the 3 points. And then when we seem to be like underdogs and nobody really gives us a chance, somehow we figure out how to, go and win. And I don't really get it, because to me, it's just like, it confuses the shit out of me. Because it's like, if you're underdogs, where are you finding this sort of aspect to go out and like get over the line? Whereas like when you're favorites, you seem to lose that aspect and then you can't do it. And I guess maybe it just boils down to being a pressure thing at the end of the day, really. And when you're underdogs, apparently there's less pressure, but Ruben keep trying to protect one. He already did it a couple times this season, and we didn't get no wins out of the game. Yeah, I think, well, listen, on that part, I never agree with that philosophy either. Like, You can't be trying to protect a 1-0 lead. It doesn't work. We don't have the team. The team isn't like built for that. They're not doing it. We've seen already over the course of this season that like we literally can't. We concede at least a goal a game. So knowing that beforehand, you should and that's where the poor management for me comes in, because he should be looking at it, viewing it as, this isn't the game where we're going to start to get a clean sheet. He should be viewing it from the perspective of, we're going to concede a goal. So whatever we got to do to go get a second, I got to make the change to go do that because we're going to concede. We should be viewing it from, this isn't the start of the clean sheet. This is, a goal is coming and we need to do something to get two because one's not going to be good enough. And he's done that a few times, and I don't agree with that. And I think that's monumentally fucked him. And he can't continue to do that. So he's either going to learn or he's going to drown. Red Devil Raider says, almost every time Amorim gets defensive subs, we concede. Ugarte is often one of the subs that changed the game in favor of our opposition. Tonight, West Ham. Villa manager better than Ruben. Okay, he might be, but I wouldn't even argue that he's not. Like, he has prior Premier League experience. He's been a manager longer than Ruben Amorim. He's managed other clubs that were in higher European competitions, where he was at, I think, Villarreal. He's managed Arsenal. And then it's Villa. Like, I would like to see Emery walk in and see how he handles the fucking mess at Manchester United. I still think it would take him 3 seasons to probably sort us out and get us to where we need to be, but I don't think anybody's arguing that Unai is not better than Ruben. Ruben is an inexperienced guy, and he's only been a manager for 6 years, so I've never said the words that Ruben is a better manager than any. I've never compared him to any manager. I've never said that he's better than any manager. So, and I don't think a lot of people said that. I think people liked his system a lot, and they would have liked to see what they were doing him at Sporting with the amount of goals and the way they play at United. That hasn't translated, but I don't think anybody's actually ever said that Ruben was a fantastic manager. I quite clearly remember me saying when we first got him that it's an exciting prospect because he's a young guy and he could become a very good manager in terms of that, like, he can become an elite manager as he continues to grow and develop. But I wouldn't argue that. How many chances missed by Bruno near the end? 2. And listen, the first one, he's got to put it on target, and that's a goal. Like, if you put it on target, it's a goal. The second one, he should have never kicked it. And, you know, that kind of goes down to lack of composure, rash decision-making, not keeping a level head in that sort of moment, in that situation. Because at first when I saw it, I was like, I thought, you know, off target again. Like, how'd you manage to do that? But then when you watch the replay, the angle and, like, the whole thing was just so difficult. He should have never tried to shoot it. What he should have done was have a bit of composure, bring the ball down, and try and, like, you know, make a play out of it, whether pass it back to the top of the box or reset. He should have never tried to shoot it from there. You're never going to score. That angle and the whole thing was just, it was so fucked. So, but he fucked it. He fucked it there because obviously he chose to shoot it. So, I see your point, but my issue with that is that the experience he's relying on is experience in losing. For example, Manu has more experience in leading at team to win trophies than most of the seniors. Well, you know what? Like, I get your point, and I'm not like trying to argue not that I'm not trying to argue against it. I'm not like disagreeing with it. What you know. You know what I want? Truly what I want? I wish that he goes on a run of matches and takes out these players that you guys are complaining about and think that is the wrong thing. I wish that he would put in these younger players and take out all these players. And I would love to see the team play with all the changes that everybody so desperately thinks he needs to make, because I'm convinced it still wouldn't work. And then it's going to go to, well, it's the system. So in my opinion, and this is why, like, whatever this guy does, he can't win. So he's going to get attacked no matter what. If it's the experienced players, he should be playing these players. He plays those players, it's going to be the system. If it's not the system, it's this and that. So it's just like literally everything he does. Nobody is going to be happy with it. And I don't think it would work, personally. So I guess from his standpoint, might as well just do whatever he wants, because he's not going to be able to make anybody happy, really. So he might as well just do whatever he wants and continue to do it, and whatever happens, happens. If he gets sacked, he gets sacked. But because I don't necessarily disagree with you. We've been down this path before. We've seen managers rely heavily on these so-called experienced players. We've seen these experienced players perform like how they did today and against Everton. We've seen them do it numerous times. We've seen them get managers sacked. We've seen them, put in disgusting levels of performances. And we're sort of here again. But to me, I don't really know. I kind of lean towards, how many different managers are you going to have? I find it quite hard to believe that you keep bringing in different managers, and different managers keep using and relying on experienced players, and they keep having certain favorites, and they rely on those guys, and those guys let them down. And I find it kind of hard to believe that that's just not like, I find it hard to find somebody out there that's going to do exactly what people are asking for, in terms of stop relying on these experienced players and play like a bunch of younger youth players, and do something with it in our club's current state and the state of the team that we have. Because I just don't think anybody will do it. I don't know how many times, like, what are the odds and what is the probability that you keep hiring different managers that have different play styles and different ideas and different backgrounds and different coaching, and they've come from different leagues, and they all do the same shit? Because to me, that kind of gives me an indication that that's probably the standard, and that's probably normal to do. It's probably a normal thing. It's probably the better solution to do, and that most managers, barring maybe 1%, might do it. But where is the 1%, and how good are they? I don't know. Put Mano 90 minutes and nothing today. Axe has left us. What I will say as well is that Amorim said numerous times that most teams attack with a 3 at the back in games, so I don't know why he can't change formation and just have the system there for when we attack. Andresito says, my thing is he doesn't learn. Well, I think I think to a certain extent, it's a fair criticism. I think he's learned some things, but he could probably do to learn a lot more than he has. And that probably leads it down the road of, is it, well, I guess stubbornness would lead to a point of you not learning. Yeah, like if you're stubborn about certain things, the definition of stubborn is like you're not really opening up to sort of changing things. So if you're not opening up to changing certain things, are you actually learning? And my answer to that would be no, because you're convinced that certain things or certain aspects are not problems, and so you're not looking them as problems, and you're not looking to change them. And if you're not looking to change them, then you're not really focused on how to make things better. So are you learning about certain areas? So, but for me, I guess since I've had this in my head for so long, literally before he even took over a match, I know he was stubborn. I know he was stubborn. I know how he wasn't a manager at Sporting. I didn't really expect him to change his ways when he came to United in that sort of aspect. My friend warned me that he would be like this, that he would continue to play the players like people are saying, like Bruno, and not playing Manu. And I was kind of already prepared for this, like, because I was warned about it. Like, this is what he does. This is what he did. And I don't think, if it's going to change, it's going to change at some point later on. Maybe it's too late, too little, too late. But I've always sort of expected him to take a long time, because this is what he did as a manager at Sporting. Like, and I don't claim to be an expert in many things, but I did watch Sporting a lot. I've had a heavy interest in the Portuguese league. I have 3 friends that are Portuguese. I've been friends with them for over like 15 years. So I do feel like, unless you're Portuguese, I have a lot more knowledge about the Portuguese league and how things were going there. And I did watch a lot of Sporting games with the Ruben Amorim there. So I do know how he does a lot of things compared to some other people that just watch the Premier League or something like that. So, Man United too big for Ruben. Well, maybe so, but my argument against that is who out there, is it not too big enough for? Because it seems like it's too big for everybody. So if it's too big for everybody, then I don't really know. Where do you go from there? It seems to be too big for everybody. The project seems to be too big for everybody. It seems to be too hard for everybody that we've gotten in. Like, nothing has worked. I feel like we've tried everything, and nothing actually works. So even if it is too big for him, where do you go? Because wouldn't it just be too big for the next guy, regardless of who we get? There's not many managers that we can get. Like, there are some elite managers out there, but they are at top clubs, and they're not going to leave those clubs for our shitty project, because they're in way better circumstances. Why would you leave a good place to go to, it's like being at a nice furnished home to go to a place that needs massive work. Like, why would you do it? Now, you might find somebody crazy enough to do it, but again, I think then we're relying on being lucky. I don't understand, after a good game, Mount is on the bench. He should start the game and then bring Cunha in. Well, from what we've been told, Mason Mount was one of the players with the lit that were injured. So Mount wasn't necessarily injured because he came on and played. But he told us 2 players might not be able to make the game. DeLitt was one of them, and he didn't make the game, and so he clearly had a bigger problem than Mason Mount. And Mason Mount, from what they told us, Mason Mount was the other guy, and I would only suspect that he couldn't play more than probably the slotted amount of time that he played, so he didn't start the match with him. Andresito says, stubbornness is ignorance. It's not good enough. The best coaches can adapt, change when needed, and always have a plan B, C, and D. I mean, yeah, but that's when the semantics come into like, you, and this is what I'm saying, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but I'm just saying, like, people are saying he needs to change things now, and where the stubbornness comes in is he's like, I don't need to change things now, not yet. So it's not necessarily that he can't, because the way I'm looking at it is, it's not necessarily he can't be, like, he can't adapt. It's not that he can't necessarily adapt. It's not necessarily that he can't change when needed, because it's about when he feels like he needs to. And obviously then that comes into the discrepancy of that, because if you feel like he needs to change now, and he doesn't feel like he needs to change now, well, then obviously we're going to have, two different perspectives on this. So I'm not saying he's right. I'm just saying a lot of people are viewing it of like, he needs to change things now. And I'm just telling you that he's looking at it and he's like, he doesn't believe he needs to change things now. And he's going to continue doing what he's doing. And this is why I say that I don't believe he is picking teams to protect himself. Because if he was scared about getting sacked, I feel like he would already start changing things instead of trying to force things to happen. He clearly is convicted, and he's clearly stubborn in a lot of the things that he believes is the best possible path forward, and he's sticking with it instead of, like what you're arguing, being, adaptable and changing things. And he's doing that because he feels like that's the best way possible. So for me, if he was worried about his job, he would start changing things now. So maybe, just maybe, for argument's sake, maybe he should be a little bit more concerned about losing his job. Maybe he's not concerned about losing his job enough, because I think he's so not concerned about losing his job that it's leading him to not making maybe the changes that he needs to make right now. That many people feel like he needs to do that. So I'm not saying change everything, but both last home games have been indefensible. Well, I mean, I agree. And to me, I think the last home game, I would blame more of the players. But this game, clearly, I mean, he got it wrong, and I think it's more in his half, to use a football analogy. I think it's more in his half today. Box is here. What's up, Box? With regret, Amorim has to go. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, and maybe he does, but I think if we're being sensible, we know that that's not going to happen for. I mean, I can't really put a timeline on it, but we know Ineos isn't going to sack him, so maybe he's got to go. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he should get more time. I think in the thick of things, we've bottled a lot, and we blew a lot of opportunities, and we could have been in a way higher position. Like, we could literally be in second right now if we didn't blow the games we blew. But in terms of the context of the season, right now where we still are, we're even with bottling this, we're still there. So. And the reason why I say that is I don't think Ineos will actually get rid of him until basically you're saying the season is pretty much over. Like, again, I think as long as there is a possibility for it to work, I think that they're going to stick with it. So I don't really see him getting sacked at this moment in time. If you don't want him here and you want him to go, fine. But again, we need to split that into what you feel and what you believe and what's probably going to happen. But it's two different things. So it's clear how he sees it. I'm not saying change everything, but both last time. Oh yeah. I want Amorim to succeed, but seeing over a year of football under him, I've seen no improvement. We have set no foundation. A year under Amorim, we are built on sand. We are hollow. There is nothing there, sadly. But the players are very, very disappointing as well. Well, I guess something's got to budge then. You know what I mean? And I still don't like the whole chopping and changing of managers. At some point, one way or another, we're gonna have to pick somebody, and we're gonna have to fucking stick with it. Now, if you don't want it to be this guy, you don't want it to be this guy, but it's gotta be somebody, because we can't keep sacking managers every 2 seasons, 3 seasons. That's also led to us doing the things leading us backwards. We can't keep doing stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. So at some point, some guy, whoever it is, we're going to have to pick him, and we're going to have to give him time. I don't want him to go. I don't care who is our coach. I want the team to win. The team and how it's ran isn't good enough. Well, I mean, I do agree, and we've always had this problem, and this is sort of why, like, again, I just think listen, people that, like, Box is making some valid points as to why, like, maybe he has to go, and, or why he feels like he needs to go, and that's fine. I just think there's so many of our fans that are still stuck in the mindset out there that you sack him and we automatically, like, this is my whole thing right now with what we've missed, the opportunities that we've missed this season. And if we won them, we would be in second or third. And I think there's many people out there that truly believe that is 100% guaranteed that if you sack this guy, and I think it's impossible to predict because we don't know who would replace him. So somebody has an idea and says, sack him and get Nagelsmann. But you might not get what you want. And we might not get Nagelsmann. We might get some other guy. And he could be just as bad. Or it could be worse. And it's just like, you have to sort of remember the grass isn't always going to be greener. So while he's, missed opportunities, I don't know. Who are they going to get? And how is it going to go? Now, they could fire him and it could go swimmingly for us. And if that's the case, I hope it does happen. But I just think there's a lot of people stuck in the mindset that if you sack this guy, things will be all peachy rosy and, it is guaranteed to improve. And I think that's the totally wrong mindset to have because I don't think it's factual. I think no matter who comes in, they're going to have a lot of problems regardless. And maybe after some point, they can, sort some problems out and fix some things and make things better. But there's no guarantee anywhere. So I don't know. It's kind of at a crossroad of, do you try to stick with this guy and see if it works out and see if it can get better? Or do you get rid of him and you go with somebody else and see if that works out and makes things better? I don't know. I don't think anybody actually necessarily has. Nobody can actually 100% say that one way will work more than the other. So, in terms of consistency, performing for a sustained period of time, we have never reached that level again since Ali left. Well, yeah, and I think that's a problem with the club. I think a lot of our issues we won't be able to necessarily sort out to a certain level until we continue to sort of continue to rebuild the squad. I do think that managers, whoever it is, and however they play, I think they will run into a personnel. I think it's been a personnel problem for a while. I think they're going to continue to run into personnel problems for a while, and as you can see, managers can be good at one team and they go to another team and it's quite different because of the personnel. They still play the same system. They still play the same way. It doesn't necessarily work well at one team where it worked well at another team because of the personnel that they have. And I still think whoever it is, you got to get somebody in, and we're going to have to do the process of sticking by and actually cleaning out the personnel over a period of time because we are restricted in the way we can move. We're not Manchester City. We can't just rip up contracts and get rid of players, the way we are. And we're still suffering with some players from back in the day. But, yeah, I honestly think it's about level building in terms of we need to continue to get in players, get other players out, go into the next phase, get more players in, get players out, 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 and increase the level each time we're going. And to do that, we can only do so much per season. So, till at some point, I guess a manager can sort of use what he's got and actually have some sort of sustainability with it. But I don't know, Lyle's here, says, hey, Eric and all you Reds. Super late. Internet is down in there. It's all right, buddy. How you doing? Lyle says, I'm more mad at the fact that we were so damn inconsistent. This team doesn't know how to take advantage of the table, let alone take advantage in the games. So crap. My thing to this is, and I genuinely, because I'm confused and I don't really know how to feel about it. So I'll let you guys answer it if you can answer it for me. The way I see it is, we are inconsistent. We've been inconsistent, and Box is making good points on inconsistency about Ruben Amorim and since he's been here in a year, and I get that, and that's not it's not like it's a lie, and it's not like it's not true, and it is true, but I also see, and maybe there was some different circumstances, but even under Ten Hag, those last 2 seasons, there was this element that is obviously that I feel that we're talking about Ruben Amorim's current team. It was under Eric Ten Hag as well. And then it happened to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at some point as well. So it's just like, to me, I just see it as like, I just find it really hard to believe that it has to be, the answer lies within the manager. Because I'm like, how can it continue to keep carrying over to managers like that, in that manner? Like, how can our team continue to be so inconsistent in basically almost the same way? It's almost identical, and they continue to be like in the same manner. Like, you know what we're seeing happening on the pitch right now, the last 2 home matches, we've seen this happen under Ten Hag. It's literally no different. They don't turn up for the games that we should be winning. They get a good result somewhere where they're not favorites. You know, so where do you move? How do you actually fix that? Because to me, I think the answer lies in personnel, and then coupled with the manager. But because I think if you remove the manager now, he still has to deal with these fucking guys that are going to probably do the same thing and be just as inconsistent, like how they are for Ruben and how some of them were for Eric Ten Hag. They're going to be inconsistent for him too. So I don't really know how you balance it out in that terms. My whole thing is I think it's personnel at the end of the day. I feel Mbeumo and Cunha haven't lived up to the expectations as of yet. They are mid-20s, Premier League proven goal scorers / creators, etc. Well, I think we always had sort of, Mbeumo certainly dipped if you compare it to what he's done in the past October, for sure. But there's always an aspect of that as well. I mean, we've seen this happen to many players, and I don't know, like, I still feel like we needed a lot more in terms of changes, because I think I always felt like we needed a lot of work, and I think the midfield doesn't help us out in a certain way. They've definitely made a mistake in terms of not getting in the midfielder in the summer. I think we definitely needed one. I think Ruben, maybe some of his decisions aren't working well either. Maybe he should be playing Kobe Mainoo. Maybe Kobe Mainoo would make us better. Maybe he wouldn't. I think that's up for debate. But I think personally for these guys, there is also an aspect of that. You look at Cunha, you look at Mbeumo. Sesko's not there, and you got Lemons in the back, and 2, 3, 4, yeah. You got those guys that are specifically coming, and there's Dorgu, that are specifically come under Ruben Amorim, not Ineos. There's the Ineos section is a bit different, but you look at these guys, and it's like, I don't know, I look at that team, and I'm like, if not specifically under Ineos, because I think it's a different thing, but if you look under specifically Ruben, you have Dorgu, you have Cunha, you have Brian, and you have Lemons. Other than those players, the team is the same as it was the season before that, and there's a lot of players that were there where under Ten Hag's second season, and also the season that Ten Hag got sacked and Ruben came in. So that's why I kind of view it as it's a personnel issue, and we would need to continue to bring in new players and get players out and continue to do the process of that, which obviously takes time to do. Because just on Mbeumo and Cunha, like, I don't know. Maybe if you get 2-3 guys in, maybe it's big enough, or it should be big enough to make a difference in the squad and sort of carry us. But at the same time, I kind of view it as when you do 2 or 3 players or 4 out of the squad that we have and the ones that are playing on the pitch, if the majority of them are not actually up to the level, or they're not good enough, we're still being outnumbered in the team, that there's more shit than good. And we've kind of seen that over the past, where, like, you know, you get maybe a good player or 2, but how long does it take for the rest of the team to sort of drag them down into the shit? And I feel like that's probably more likely to happen with Cunha and Mbeumo than it is for them to come to this club and carry us on their back throughout the entire season and basically do it, do the whole job themselves. Come on, learning on the job, that's not Man United. We did that with Ali. Maybe it's not Man United, but this is what they went for. So this is sort of the aspect of what they went for. Again, doesn't mean they're right. Could be wrong. Could say it's wrong now. Could say it's failed. Could say it's failing. Whatever. Again, I just deal with what's in front of us. What's in front of us is it's quite clear. They went for a manager. No, everybody knew he was not that experienced. He's not fucking Ancelotti. He's not Diego Simeone. So I don't know why anybody would have in their head that he wouldn't have issues and growing, like, and learning problems, like, when he comes to the job. I think it was quite clear that they went for a younger, inexperienced manager with potential to go with how they're trying to build out the squad with younger, inexperienced players that have potential to create a longevity. Now, if you don't buy that, if you don't think that's the correct way and it doesn't work, that's fine. But understand what's happening. This is the way they are moving. This is the decision they made. It's quite obvious. It's quite clear. They made this decision. So maybe it's not United, but also, I don't know. Where do you get the guy that doesn't? Again, I just don't see somebody coming in and doing it for us. We've had Mourinho. We had Ali, like you said, learning on the job. But I think Ali was way less experienced, and Ali learning on the job was way different than Ruben, because Ali came to us because he knows Manchester United. And Ali was, like, very inexperienced in that aspect. I mean, at least Ruben, while he was managing in the Portuguese league, he was still getting good results in the Champions League. And that's in Europe. And that's against top teams. So I think he's more experienced in that aspect than Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was. We've had Ten Hag. He managed Ajax. He had similar experiences in the Champions League, European-wise. They did very well there. We had Ralph Rangnick. The club told him to fuck off, and so did the players. What manager do you go get? What manager is there out there? And, like, why can Bayern Munich did it? Like, Bayern Munich bring in Vincent Kompany. He's inexperienced to a certain extent. He managed Burnley. He didn't do very well with them. He got them promotion. They got relegated. He's doing fine at Bayern Munich. And I think it's because they have a better team. And they're better personnel. And they're probably run a little bit better. And they also don't have the disasters that we have over the last 12 years. So I think that's why they went with Ruben, to be quite honest. I think they were trying to get a guy where they can play the angle of he's inexperienced and this is a thing that's going to take probably 3 to 4 years and we're going to go through the process. I think if you bring in a more experienced, more ready-made guy that has already won things, fans are more likely to demand immediate success right away. Like if you bring in Ancelotti or you bring in the manager from PSG, which have already won things and they're top managers, if you bring them in, I think fans have even less patience and less time for things to work out. And I think the way that they view the situation at United is kind of how I view the situation at United, in that we have been fucked up for 12 years and we have to do proper things and get things right for at least 3 to 4 years. So I think that's why they went for him, because I think they were trying to hit the angle of he's a younger, inexperienced guy. I think they were trying to get more time out of him. They were trying to get more time out of the whole thing. I think that's, to me, that's what makes the most sense. And that they were hoping fans would be a little bit more lenient. And to be fair, they kind of were right about that, because I think if you got a more experienced manager and they've had the record that he has and the results that he has, fans would have been going, protesting and asking for the sacking long ago in a much more severe way than they have. So Dorgu and Ugarte were 2 unnecessary subs today. Yeah, I mean, he's got it wrong. And listen, he's going to get things wrong. It doesn't excuse him. It's not like a free pass. But today he's got to take the blame. He's fucked up. Whether you want him to or not, he's still going to have another opportunity to rectify it in the next match that we have to play on Monday. So, it's kind of on him to do it there. But yeah, I mean, he's messed it up. We have 1 game a week, no European football, no domestic cup commitments, no traveling. I struggle to see why we are improving with why we aren't improving with increased training preparation time over a year into the process. Well, I think the only argument I could probably make to that, it's one of 2 ways. It's either that he ain't very good at doing his job as a manager, and neither is the coaching staff, or it goes back to the old adage argument of you can only do so much with the shit that you have. Because there are examples in football, and we can look at the top teams that have been successful. When Arteta came in to Arsenal, why didn't he keep all the shit that he had? Why didn't he just make them better players? Why did he have to go out and, replace basically that entire team? Because if you look at the team that he walked into and you look at the team that they have now, it's totally different. There's basically like almost no player there from his time being there and him being through the proper process. Pep Guardiola, the same. Even Manchester City before Pep Guardiola, when they bought Robinho and Stephen Ireland and these other players, why didn't they just keep them? Why did they keep buying new players? Why didn't they just make all those players world class? The same with Jurgen Klopp. When he walked into Liverpool, why didn't he just make all those players world class? Why didn't he just make them better? And so I think that poses the question of, you might feel like we maybe should be getting better out of these players. There should be better improvements. Or maybe these players are just that shit and you just can't. And the answer to that is we need to get different players and we have to continue to try and upgrade. Ali was basic, but used the tools accordingly and got us playing, winning, scoring. He wasn't the man to take us onto the league titles, cups, but you felt at times a consistency mentality shift. Yeah, I think maybe because that whole aspect of he understood the club, and I think he was able to sort of bring a little bit of that aspect in there, but that only took him so far as well, and it wasn't good enough. And we needed probably a combination of that in a certain aspect. But, from that time, it was a different time to now. So it's always a bit hard to sort of, go into that. Lyle says, we always seem to be stuck in, we need a response next game. Response comes, but we don't build on it. I do think, like, regardless of him, I do think that like to get out of this rut, it's gonna take us a while. Because I feel like the problems that we're seeing and the problems that we're talking about, the inconsistency, this sort of, we always seem to be stuck in we need a response next game sort of thing. We've been doing it for so long that I don't think you sort of break the curse without it taking a while, like 2 years or 3 years. I think for us, it's not some sort of, it's not like we weren't doing it and maybe we did one season with it and all we need is, maybe a short, like 3 or 4 months turnaround, like some other clubs tend to do in normal situations in football. I always view our circumstances, United, very abnormal. It's not usual. What's gone on at our football club, we didn't run the football club properly. It's not, it hasn't been being run for a long time. We have abnormal owners. We've done some abnormal shit along the way, and I think when you do that, and I once upon a time, like I did compare it to, this is a bit of an extreme comparison, but to me, it's kind of like, there's a guy that maybe he does harmful drugs for a year straight, and then you got the guy that's been a drug addict for 12 years, To fix the guy that's 1 year a drug addict and get him clean and reverse all those negative effects is going to be way shorter than what you got to do with the guy that's a drug addict for the past 12 years, hardcore drugs. And that's kind of how I view it. Like, a lot of people want to look at other teams and say, it should take this amount of time. Why can teams do this? And I sort of view it as our club has been addicted to hardcore drugs for 12 years and other clubs not so long and not so devastating lasting effects. And for us to reverse these devastating effects, it's going to take way longer for it to happen. And we have to go through a lot more sort of processes than, the guy that maybe he would be addicted to drugs 1 year. That's kind of how I view it. So, that's a great point. I think it's 50-50 issue, to be fair. Partly Amorim, partly players. I mean, it could very well be. Listen, he's not the most experienced, so you can't say he's doing everything right. I think you would be foolish to say he's doing everything right. I think at times he's definitely getting things wrong. He's definitely making bad calls. He made bad calls today. I think, on the other hand, players as well. So probably on both fronts. But I do feel like Ineos have sort of gone into this sort of mode that they're like, and this is why they bring Ruben in, because he is a younger kind of guy that can sort of, if he was able to do the job, he can grow and build with the project. And he, if he was actually more successful and can find more consistency, he can stay here for a much longer period of time. And he clearly, sort of wants to do that thing at United. Like, he would, like, if he could figure it out, I feel like Ruben would stay for like however long. I think he would stay for years and years, like 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, as long as, it continues to work out. Would you play a 4-2-3-1, Cunha left and Buemo right, or Cunha right and Buemo left? Well, it depends what you want to do with the 4-2-3-1. Do you want to put in crosses? If you want to put in crosses, your best bet is probably to put in Buemo on the left and Cunha on the right. If you're not looking to put in crosses and you want to go, and you want to sort of have inverted, then obviously you would switch them, and keep Cunha on the left and Buemo on the right. Bench both. Ollie was just Friends FC. We have won once in 6 games versus West Ham. These stats are becoming the norm. It's a big worry. Well, this is what happens when your club gets eroded over time. You know what I mean? A lot of shit has happened. I mean, if you think back to, I don't know, sort of Van Gaal / Mourinho time, which was obviously years ago now, where were we always for a large part? It was always, we went from winning the league to being in top 4, but not good enough to challenge for the league. But we'd always be in top 4. We'd always be in Champions League, barring that, one strange season out of there. But pretty much we were always doing, we were always We were always Champions League. Even, even if we weren't good enough to challenge for the title, we were definitely getting in fourth, for the most part. And then since that time, it's really gone down, 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 down. And it keeps going more down, down, down over the years because we keep getting further away from what we once were. And we keep making bad decisions and bad mistakes. And we keep chopping and changing as well. So I think a lot of things have to do with a lot of things going on that leads to it. I will say no Maguire, no party. Well, it's kind of crazy how, if we're missing Maguire, then shut down the club, says Grace. And that's what, to a certain extent. I feel Maguire would have gotten his results against Everton and West Ham tonight. But that just kind of shows you, not to like rag on Maguire, but I would put that further as to say, if we can't get it done because we've lost Maguire, and then now Maguire is sort of this leader and he's getting us over the line, then again, it just leads me back to, we don't have a team. You can't lose one man and all of a sudden collapse and not be getting results. I mean, Arsenal have lost Saliba and Gabriel, and they lost a couple other players. They're still figuring out how to get results because they're a well built out team. They're not, Saliba and Gabriel are two very big and important players for them. And when they lose them, it's massive. But if they're still going out and getting results and not taking L's and not totally collapsing, it's because their team is more well built. If we lose one guy or two guys out of our team and all of a sudden now we can't get the results, well, we're not a team then, are we? And we still have that problem. And if we don't figure out how to make a team, then we're just going to keep going around in circles, unfortunately. Since FA Cup win in 2024, Carreras, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Williams, Evans, Kambwala, Lindelof, Varane, Amrabat, Eriksson, Hannibal, McTominay, Van de Beek, Anthony, Forrest and Garnacho, Greenwood, Palestri, Shore, Tier, Martial. If Ollie was that good, then he should have won the league. Well, he wasn't that good. I don't think anybody's saying that. Onana, Collier, Sancho, Rashford, Højlund have all left. Yeah, and we need more. Unfortunately, I think that's how bad it is. And the reason why we need more is because other teams that are in better positions than us continue to improve. And they continue to get better players. And they're already further ahead of us. So we're always kind of playing catch up. And we can't really afford to stand still. We can't afford not to buy players in. And we need to continue, something. But this is what I'm talking about. We need a little bit of consistency because we can't really keep chopping and changing, I guess, sort of the philosophy or the idea. Maybe it cut the manager out. But somebody's going to have to come in that has some sort of a similar identity of football, or at least understanding, that can use all these players. And it has to continue that way. And then we have to continue to build out the squad in that manner. So we've changed a lot. So in 18 months, 24 players have left. If we still have a majority of players not good enough to learn or good enough... yet we still have a majority of players not good enough to learn or good enough quality of play. I actually think that I think our squad building has been so bad over years, and I think our plans have been so bad over the amount of years, even leading up to sort of this mass exodus, and that's a lot of players. But listen, like Carreras, we shouldn't have let him go. So to me, that was a mistake. Wan-Bissaka, I don't think really ever worked. Williams wasn't a good player, and he was shit. Evans retired, and he was old. Kumbala, I mean, what's he doing? I don't even know where he's at or what he's doing. Lindelof, I think it was time for him to go. Varane, he was old and unfortunate. We could have used a younger version of him. Amrabat, I think was, at the end, I actually kind of quite liked him. And I thought for his price, maybe we should have kept him. But, what's happened to him? Eriksson, I think he ran out of time as well. Hannibal wasn't good enough. McTominay, we didn't have the spot for him. And maybe that was a mistake. Maybe we should have kept McTominay and sold Bruno. Van de Beek obviously was broken. I don't know what we did with him. Anthony was a shit buy. Borson, I don't know where he is and what he's doing, and whatever. Garnacho, think he had a talent, but he had a piss poor attitude, in my opinion. Greenwood is Greenwood, but I don't really count him. Palestri, where is he and what is he doing? Sure, Tire, I'd say the same for him. And Martial obviously had his problems. So I think all of those guys, for the most part, they all had to go. For the most part. Onana was shit as well. Collier, I think he's on loan now. Sancho's shit. Rashford came to the end. And Højlund is gone. So we've gotten rid of a lot of players. And we brung in some players, but I still think we need to do that. We probably need to do that another 2 or 3 times. Really. And on top of that, we have to get the players that are coming in, we have to make sure that they're actually, they actually stay. And they're actually good enough, like going forward. Dorgu was a mistake buying Ugarte likewise. Yeah, but the thing is, like, with this, I mean, we're not going to get everything right. There's no way Ineos gets every call right. They're definitely going to get calls wrong. And, Dorgu could very well be one, and Ugarte could very well be one. And out of all the players that they've gotten, it could be them two out of all of them. Now, if that's the case, I still think that's a very good record in terms of transfer buying. Because as we've seen, even with City or Liverpool or, whoever it is, they don't get every player that they bring in. It's not the right call. It's not like every single one of them work in. It's just about how you do it. How quick are you to move them on? Can you move them on? And who are you bringing in to replace them? And is the replacement actually the right call and not another mistake? That's what really factors into all of this. So it's been really poor squad building. And that's why I just say, like, with the squad building, like, we all know that to build up the squad, it's still going to take another 2, 3, 4 years. And then we have to get the things right along the way. So I don't think we'll see a lot of sort of issues get solved until we go through sort of these windows. But I don't know, man. I don't know with the team and with the squad. I mean, I always said that this season was probably going to be still turbulent. There's no way he's going to get all the answers. There's no way he's going to solve all the problems. There's no way he's going to go from what we were last season to all of a sudden we're, a killing clean machine. We're still sort of on the border. I mean, we're 4 points off of 15th. We're 4 points right now still off of 4th or whatever it is. We've missed 4 opportunities. 4 is a big number, apparently. So, I don't know. I don't know where we're going to really end up. Could completely crash and burn. Could just continue to be sort of this consistent or this inconsistently consistent for the rest of the season. And maybe that makes us finish, anywhere from 7th to 10th. He's not going to get sacked. Not for the time being. I think as long as it's mathematically possible in sort of a points reach for him, I think he'll continue to be here. I think they really want to give him the season. I think the only way they'll be forced into not giving him the season if it gets really, really ugly, sort of like it looks anything like last season. I don't think right now it looks like last season, but it definitely has the potential to become like last season. Because again, if you're 4 points off of 15th, from 15th, if you're only 4 points above 15th, and you're 4 points above 4th, really, we are literally sitting in the middle, and the pendulum can swing either way, and it can fucking stay there. If we don't start picking up some results and improving our performances, and other teams do, well, we're going to start falling behind, and we're going to start dropping down. If we don't keep up, and then that's when it becomes very more one-sided. Right now, I think right now, I think we're walking, a fine line. We're walking on thin ice right now. And the ice can either, stay strong, or it can begin to crack and ultimately split open and drown us. I think that's where we are. So, um, the result stings more than the Everton loss for some reason. Nah, not for me, because we had a fucking red card in that game. We were up a man. That result quite pissed me off. I mean, it's still similar. Like, it's still, shit, and it's still a bad result, and it still burns it with disappointment and anger. But for me, Everton was fucking embarrassing, because not only did you do what we just did today against West Ham in a certain sense, but we did it being a man up, and we were a man up for the whole match. At least West Ham had fucking 11 players on the pitch, we are teetering at the moment, and that's what I'm saying. And that's why, like, I understand if some people have had enough and they want him out, but just, like, you have to understand that, like, it's not going to happen from the top point of view. They're not going to do it, because technically, on paper, maybe not even on paper, but just the way it stands, we can still go either way. And I think they're always going to continue to try and give him the benefit of the doubt, and they're going to try and give him the opportunity for it to work out. I don't think they want to try and sort of cut it short, because I think they want the longer term aspect of this to sort of play out, and they don't really want to have to make the change, and they don't want this not to work out. So I think they're going to just continue to go with it. I would say, if they're that desperate, I would say, don't bullshit us in January. Get something done. It's only a couple weeks away now, and bring it and actually be a real football club like every other football club. Because I tell you what, Arsenal are probably going to go into the market. Chelsea are going to go into the market. Liverpool are definitely going to go into the market. Everybody's going to go into the market and get somebody. So probably Villa, if they can afford it, if they don't have money issues. Literally everybody's going to do it. So we should be doing it too. If they're actually serious and they're actually that desperate for Ruben to work, then they should be going into the market. And January will be telling for me, because I think if we sit on our ass and we do nothing, like Manchester United has typically done in January, then I think you can probably just plant the flag into the ground and say Amorim is fucked, and it just won't happen. I think if they actually do something serious in January, and they try to give him a little bit more help, not just to him, but just the squad in general, a player or two, and like literally anything of some sort of quality, I think then you can say, well, maybe it gives him at least a better chance. Might still not work, might still fail miserably, might still get sacked, but I think it's better that if he has at least a slightly better opportunity than basically telling him and the squad to go fuck themselves for the rest of the season and, deal with it. 1 win in 4 games versus Palace, Forest, Everton, West Ham, Spurs plus Spurs is worrying form. It is, to a certain extent, but again, I think the only thing that's sort of helping us box is that the league is really inconsistent. So, I mean, I think if the league was more consistent, I think that would be, we would be in a way worse position, and obviously it would be way more worrying. I think the thing that's slightly helping him out and us at the moment is that while that is worrying, and when you list the teams, it is worrying. It seems like these other teams tend to do this shit as well that are in and around us. I think if you go look at like Chelsea, if you go look at these like Liverpool, if you go look at all these other teams that are basically we're fighting for the same positions, I think they have similar results against similar teams across the board. Like it's so inconsistent, so it's helping us out in that aspect in the context of the league. We are so slow, lacking intensity. Surely Ruben doesn't want this. He doesn't want it. I don't think Ten Hag wanted it either. Ruben doesn't want it. I mean, I listened to literally every Ruben press conference, everything I listen to everything he says. I read everything he says. at all times. Anytime he says it, he makes it quite clear this is not what he wants. He makes his idea quite clear, what it's supposed to be, and what he expects from the players. He doesn't want them to be this slow. No. I think at times and moments in the game, it's okay to be slow. But to be the way we are at periods of the time and them not understanding the circumstances of the game, I don't think he wants them to be like that. He's on the sideline and he's fucking screaming at them. If they don't move their ass and they don't get it through their thick skulls, what do you want them to do? You know? We are lucky at the fact that 12 teams behind us are playing slightly worse than us. I think we're also lucky that however many teams in front of us, 6, 5 teams in front of us, they aren't even that much better than us. If they were better than us, the gap would be bigger. They're not that much better than us. That's why the gap is still about 4 points. So, again, I think in terms of the context of the league, maybe not for United, you don't like this, but in terms of the context of the league, we seem to be pretty much on par with almost basically everybody, barring a couple teams. All the way at the bottom and then at the top. Doesn't make it okay in a certain sense. Obviously, we need to do better and we want to do better, but I'm just saying, it could be much worse. If you look at it one way, if we did our job, we could have been in a much better position. So I think things right now are still in the balance. I'm not going to go overboard. As long as the opportunity is there, in my opinion, as long as the opportunity is there, then the opportunity is there. And you can make something happen or you can miss. You know what I mean? And I think as long as the opportunity is there, mathematically right now, it can happen. But obviously other people are going to have the opinion of they've seen enough, it's shit, it's not going to work, and just fucking, just get on with it and get ahead of the inevitable. Which is, if that's how you want to think, that's fine. But for me, the opportunity is there, and I'll let it play out, because I think letting it play out or not letting it play out, I think we're still. I think it's probably quite fucked either way, as I've explained before. So, 1.5 points per game average is 7th to 8th place in the league, which is cutting it fine for Europe. It is, and this is what I'm saying, and this is why I think again, people have the right to say they don't like him and they don't want him to be sacked. That's fine, but understand the circumstances and understand that you can bitch and moan all you want. You're probably not going to get what you want until some shit happens. And right now, considering how I see we're sort of teetering and we're in the middle, then I think anything is open to happen still. And I think that's what's going to happen. So, is it time Amorim starts attacking TVs again to get his message across? I don't know. I don't know if... To me, Box, it feels a bit sad if he has to do that every game. I don't think we have the proper players then. If he has to, fucking, if he has to smash up TVs and, and he's got to do it every game, I mean, for them to fucking get the point across and for them to have the levels every match, then, you know what, I sort of feel bad for him in this sense, because it's just like, you're using a bunch of useless fuckers, aren't you? You are. You're using a large majority of useless fuckers, because they, to a certain extent, they should be self-motivated. To a certain extent, they should be smart enough to grasp the situation. And to a certain extent, they should want it enough, for this football club, for themselves, for the fans. There should be some sort of a minimum level of desire and, attitude and mentality to be going out there in these matches. I don't think that it should be so random the way it is, and he obviously plays a part in this, and obviously, he plays a hand in raising it or making it better or making it stronger. But I just feel like these guys don't actually have it. And so how do you really work with it? Can you make, it's kind of like have in people in life that don't really have motivation, that don't really have like a drive. Can they learn it? Some people can. Some people can't. Some people refuse to. Can somebody teach you that? I think I don't really know if they can. I think some people might be able to teach some people. I think some people you might not be able to teach those people at all, you know, and that's sort of how I look at it. It's like, it still feels like to me sometimes we need to hold their hand. The manager needs to hold their hand. You know, they can't take up the responsibility on the pitch themselves. They can't make the call on the pitch. They can't read the game. They can't see that it needs a certain aspect that's happening on the pitch. They can't take up sort of the responsibility on the match. They have to, you know, they go out, they're not really doing it, they don't really get it. They have to go into halftime. The manager needs to explain to them exactly what to do. He's got to yell at them. He's got to fucking like baby walk them through it. They go out, then they might not even still do it. Sometimes they do it, you know. Maybe as us fans expect too much. I remember seeing fans compare Cunha to Cantona early this season. I think the fan base is broken. The fan base is broken because the fan base doesn't want to go through a process that will take them a few years. Nobody wants to accept that it takes 3 to 4 years to fix. A lot of the fan base thinks that minimum 1 to 2 seasons, we should be back to the glory days. And it's not going to work. And we've already tried this fucking 6 times. And it doesn't work. Because it has to take way longer. And the club actually needs to be doing proper things anyway for it to work. And this is why I don't focus so much on the manager. Because I just think no matter what manager you have, until we take care of all the other shit and actually get these things right and build up the club in a proper way all around, I think the manager is pretty much irrelevant. Especially in today's time of football. Like, and I say that because look at Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich can have somebody like Nagelsmann, and then they can get Hansi Flick, and they can fucking sack Hansi Flick, who is a good manager, and is an experienced guy and plays a good brand of football. And they can go and get Vincent Kompany, who got promoted with Burnley and then relegated with Burnley. And they can take him to Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich can still do Bayern Munich things to a certain level. I mean, they lost in the Champions League last match to Arsenal, but they will then take Vincent Kompany and they can sack him and they'll get somebody else. And for the most part, they'll still be Bayern Munich. And that's because, regardless of the manager, the rest of the club, all over the place, is exactly what it's supposed to be. So that's why I always say the manager to me he's not the king or the queen anymore. The manager is a pawn to a certain extent. Maybe not a pawn. Maybe he's like the horse, the knight. It's still not your most important piece. It is replaceable. It can still make moves, but if we can't cope with facing Everton and West Ham at home once a week without no other commitments, don't think we're nowhere near ready for European football, unfortunately. Well, nope. But they got to get ready somehow. We got to get there. I still think to get there, we need to build out the squad. Ray says, I don't understand the modern football run forward with the ball and then turn around and pass it backwards and hold the ball and pass it sideways. I don't really think it's the modern football. I think what you're saying is Manchester United, because I don't really see that. I don't really see that too often. I think there's a way to do it. I don't think we do it very well, and I think we make very poor decisions on doing it. I think if you watch a team that plays properly with possession and modern football, there are times where they do go backwards, but they don't do it as often as us. They pick better times to do so, and they have better attacking intent with us. But this is one of my whole problems, Ray, is that they're doing it under him. They did it under Ten Hag, and they did it before that. So our club clearly has a problem where players, for whatever reason, don't feel comfortable to go forward with the ball because they are afraid to lose it. And I don't know why are they afraid to lose it. Is it the pressure from the fans? Is it too much bullshit on social media? Do they see these things? Do they not want, can they not handle criticism? Do they not want to get attacked by fans for trying shit that doesn't work? Would they rather be safe so that they don't necessarily get singled out or yelled at? I don't know what it is. I know what it is in terms of I can see it. We see it. They shouldn't be doing some of the things. You can play possession and you can be attacking. You can do both. You can play possession and be quick with possession. You can. We don't do it. We haven't been able to do it. They never do it. They always take their time. They're always very slow. But that's honestly, it's very specific to United in terms of you can go watch any other big team and they don't do the shit that we do. It's specific to our club and it's specific to the players we have. Maybe it's just that maybe it's really just not in our DNA to do this type of shit. And maybe our DNA is always and has been sort of counter-attacking, and maybe we just can't play possession and we'll never be able to do it. And maybe it's really just not part of our club's history. And in that case, we would have to play counter-attack. Maybe that's it. Maybe it is it. But a counterattack in today's time, it plays differently to how counterattack was back in the day because a lot of teams played differently. Now, you try to play counterattack, and this is the problem I see. You try to play counterattack against a team that's very good at playing at possession. And our fans will have a shit fit. Just like how they do now anyway. We don't control the game. We don't control the game. We don't have possession. We didn't always do that either. Under Fergie, we were successful. Now, some games we would obviously go out there and dominate, but there was some matches, big matches when we played big teams. You know, when we won the treble in '99 in the Champions League match, we got they were destroying us. You know, Bayern Munich, they were destroying us. They controlled that match. They dominated that match. We beat them through counterattack. We beat them through maybe a little bit of luck and a little bit of hope, but we beat them through basically not having possession and not dominating the game. But in today's time, well, they hold the ball and they will score on you, and you won't touch the ball. And to play counterattack, the fans would have a shit fit. 35% possession. And then you have to be efficient in creating it, because if you give the ball away, guess what? You're not touching the ball for another 20 minutes in today's time. It's not like back in the day. I think Amorim needs to his handheld as well. He has a very young, inexperienced backroom team. Maybe. It's a fair point. Could be. I mean, I listen, the thing is, it's hard for me to judge him because I think it's hard to judge a lot of things, but it's hard for me to judge him because I can't see what the fuck he's doing other than when he's on the touchline, and I barely see him because we're watching the game. You know what I mean? So it's very hard to judge in terms of like how much is it actually his fault and what is he struggling with other than in-game management or like picking the lineup. But like what's going on, you know, when we're not playing matches and stuff like that. It's hard to judge him on that. It's hard to judge a lot of the players in terms of other than, you know, only what we see on the pitch. You know, how are they doing in training? Maybe he has a valid excuse for not playing some players or picking some players because maybe they're shit in training. And I don't know, many coaches and many managers are like that. Like, if you can't do good in training, then you can't play in the matches for me. Some managers care a little bit less about training because some players don't train very well, but they play the matches very good. I kind of used to be like that in terms of like, I didn't really like training, and I might not have practiced that well because I found it boring and I found it sort of kind of just tedious. Like it was just fucking annoying. But then obviously the perspective of a match is quite different. Playing the match and how the match unfolds it's totally different to training. And then I would tend to enjoy obviously the match more, and therefore I would play better than I would train. That's what Chelsea did. We made fun of them for being 11th a couple years ago, and look at the past year. Well, yeah, you got to spend money. You got to buy, and you need to keep going through it. Unfortunately for us, because of the Glazers, and I guess Sir Jim being here, and doing a deal with the Glazers, we can't do what Chelsea did in as fast as they did. We can't spend. They've spent over a fucking billion in the amount of time that they have. We can't spend that money in the amount of time they have. We probably need to spend $1 billion, another one, and spend it good. But we can't do it in the short amount of time that they've done it. We literally can't afford to do it in our current setup. We can't. And, City did something similar. Although, they had nothing at one point. So their process spanned over a longer period of time. And, but they spent a lot of money. And they were able to, they're still doing it. They go by Trafford. Trafford plays one game and it's shit. And Pep goes, fuck this, go get me Donnarumma. Do you think we could have done that? Like if we bought Lemons and we had nobody else, and Bienda wasn't even here, and we bought Lemons, and we played Lemons, and Lemons had the game that Trafford had in the first game that he played. Do you think Ruben could have went to them and said, now fuck this, I'm not using Lemons. You're going to have me rely on this guy, and you want me to do good this season? Go get me fucking Donnarumma. You think they would have been able to do? We can't do that. We can't afford to do that. So the reality of the situation is to be able to sort of kind of do that, and it might not even work because we might just be completely screwed in our current state where we actually can't actually catch up until we have brand new owners and we have, all this like a large, cash influx coming in. But yeah, it would have to take at least probably a good 3 to 4 summer transfer windows. Unfortunately, maybe the players need pay rises. Don't even joke about that. Don't even joke about that. But listen, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you to everybody that stopped by. Thank you if you smashed the like button. I greatly appreciate it. And thank you guys for hanging out after that shit sort of performance and shit result once again. So I greatly appreciate it. I don't know if you can see on the screen, but I do have a little Christmas tree here somewhere. It is in the corner. It's being hidden by by this stuff here. So I did get that in there. It's kind of hard to see, but it's a little tree. What's today? Thursday. I think I'll probably take off tomorrow and not stream, and then I didn't even update the score, and it was 1-0 the whole time. I wish it was fucking 1-0. We'll probably jump off Friday. And we'll do a stream Saturday. We'll do a stream early Saturday. Let me look at like the matches and the let me look at the matches and the scheduling here. So this is Saturday. Saturday we could probably do like 6:30, 7 p.m. UK time. We'll go live on Saturday. Cause Sunday I'm preoccupied with my NFL. So we could do a little bit of like a preview for Wolves, and then obviously, we'll be playing Wolves. So we'll do another watch along for Wolves. We're playing Wolves away. Eric is 0-2 right now for watch alongs. We have had no success in terms of United, and I'm telling you right now, as much as I enjoy doing them, if we don't beat Wolves and I do a watch along, I will not do a watch along for the rest of the season, because that means that I'm just fucking cursed, and it's my fault. So, and then I'll have to apologize to the entire Manchester United fan base. So, Saturday we'll do a stream. Be on the lookout. I'll remind you guys to the community tab. Those of you that are in the Discord, I'll obviously remind you there as well. Thank you for stopping by. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and opinions. Box says we all deserve a holiday from watching Man United play. Well, they're gonna play on Boxing Day, and they might ruin our holidays then as well. So if they can't get the result, so not only are we not getting a break from them, Box, but they also might break our holidays for us. Yeah, that's where we're at. We'll probably flop regardless. I don't know. Listen, I didn't get to do one for Crystal Palace, and somehow we got the result for that. And I did one for Everton, and we fucked that up majorly. And I did one today, and we fucked that one up as well. So I'm 0-2. And we never know what would have happened against Crystal Palace, because I was meant to do one for Crystal Palace, and I ended up not doing it because I forgot to set my alarm, and I woke up late, and I didn't want to I didn't want to stream from behind. I didn't want to be late and stuff like that, and I would have been scrambling, so I didn't do it. And we got the result away from home against Crystal Palace, with all those fucking things against us in terms of 1 win in 11, not beating a team at London away from home, the away record, and we got the win. And then the 2 home games that are supposed to be tap-ins for me, so I can have some joy and maybe like some clippable moments and celebrate with our community and have some joy, and we can't do it. So I'm telling you now, we'll do a Wolves one, and if so help me, if we don't beat Wolves, I ain't doing one for the rest of the year. Because we'll be cursed, and I guarantee you, the second I don't do one, we'll go back to winning again. If that's how it goes. So, if we flop regardless, we flop regardless. That's just better for me. That just means that I'm not cursed, and it's not my fault, and it's all United's fault. So yeah. Everybody be good. Have a good night. Shout out to any of you that are still here. It's very, very late for you guys over on the other side of the world. So I appreciate your support. Be good. We'll speak soon. Everybody enjoy your Friday. Stay safe. We'll speak with each other on Saturday, sort of after the Premier League matches. And yeah, other than that, take care.